President Donald Trump may have left office, but his stolen election claims are still driving policy. Lawmakers in 33 states are considering 165 restrictive voting bills this year, according to an analysis by the Brennan Center for Justice at NYU Law. That's 4 times the number of restrictive voting bills that were in the works this time last year.
We're seeing a number of state lawmakers take up the big lie that has been advanced both before and after the general election last year, that there was voter fraud or any kind of election irregularity, and using that lie as a justification to restrict voting access, but also to advance a very large number of voter ID bills that would apply to both voting in person and voting by mail.
Nearly half of all those restrictive bills address mail or absentee voting, limiting who can vote by mail or who gets their ballot automatically in the mail. Small tweaks to the law that can have a huge effect on who turns out to vote. There's also a big push to expand voting access, with more than 500 bills that aim to expand access to the ballot box, like making mail voting a permanent option in states that didn't have that before. But with Republicans controlling the majority of state legislatures around the country, it's the restrictive ones that have advocates' attention. And that's in part because these kinds of laws do not affect all voters equally. Restrictive laws tend to disproportionately disenfranchise voters of color, who are often less likely to have the necessary ID, for instance.
We're seeing substantially restrictive bills come from Georgia, Pennsylvania, Texas, and Arizona. And those are states that are not only typical battlegrounds or will be expected to be battlegrounds in the future, but also Texas, Arizona, and Georgia are states that are already very diverse and states that are experiencing more demographic shifts relative to the rest of the country.
In Georgia, where Republicans created no-excuse mail voting 15 years ago, the GOP is now proposing to dramatically limit the practice to just the elderly, disabled, or those who are out of town. In Arizona, a Republican lawmaker wants to stop infrequent voters from receiving their ballots in the mail, something that would disadvantage Democrats, who tend to vote more infrequently than Republicans.
And there are 40 bills in 18 states, including Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Minnesota, that would add new or more stringent voter ID requirements.
What do we want? What do we want it now?
This push for new voting laws isn't surprising. Allegations of voter fraud have long been followed by periods of voter suppression. But 2020 also educated a lot of people about how their voting systems work. Millions took up mail or early voting for the first time ever. Experts say voters may not be so keen on giving up their rights now that they've experienced them.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.